Right then. Hello, willkommen, bienvenue, konnichiwa. It's time for the Armist Inquisition yet again. Why am I having to stoop low from a microphone?
I found that as well.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Who's been messing around in here? Not me. Anyway, welcome to episode 363. I'm Phil.
And I'm Matt.
Ben is on a diplomatic mission to Alderaan.
Again.
But no fear, because tonight we're very happy to be joined by researcher, author Larry Cyprus. How you doing, Larry?
Hi, I'm well, thank you.
It would help if I took you off mute. There you go. Are you there now, Larry?
I'm here. Can you hear me now?
There we
Can
are.
you hear me now,
Can you hear me now?
Slick as usual. Wonderful intro there. Yes, we can hear you loud and clear, Larry.
Good. And they can hear us online as well, because normally we can't hear you when we're sat in the chat.
Well, let's just see.
OBS is saying that it's going out.
Let's see what happens, yeah.
So anyway, Larry, you wrote this book I have here. This book
I
called
have indeed.
Booked. Give your head a wobble.
Give your head a wobble.
From star forts to landscape constellations, the antidote to political and religious tyranny. How did all that happen,
Absolutely.
Larry?
How did it happen? I just felt that I needed to get everything that was in my head on paper. So I put it in a book, hence the title, Booked. But then it gives your head a wobble, because what I actually end up doing is going into some very strange areas of the world around us, or the realm, as they call it. A lot of people, don't they? The realm around us.
Yeah. One of the things that early on in the book that I could relate to was you talking about the terrace house that you have. And it's one of these old terraces, which a lot of old mill towns, like we're in Preston, they have these old terraced houses, and they have these coal chutes at the front, which are often converted. And, well, why don't you go into that a bit? What did you find so peculiar about these old terraced houses?
So the thing was, the book, and how I started with my YouTube channel, I suppose, is I went for a little jolly off to Berwick-upon-Tweed, which is a star fort, realised the whole thing was wrong, and the history they were telling us was wrong. And when I came home, I suddenly started looking around the house and realised we had some stairs missing at the bottom of the steps. As you come in to the house, there's a turn in the stairs, except there's only 2 stairs, and there should be 4 stairs in the turn. So there's 2 steps missing. And then in the cellar, there was some beamed holes in the wall, which were about 18 inches lower than the floor level is. So, which would account for the 2 steps missing. So if the floor level was 18 inches lower, there would be 2 more steps coming downstairs to turn into the back room. And so there was just sort of like little anomalies like this. And it turns out that, so the coal chute you mentioned at the front there, we've got a bay window on the front, and all the houses on the street have got a bay window, but the bay window isn't tied into the wall of the house, the front wall. It's sort of like built, it's bolted on almost, But every bay window is the same. Every bay window in the town, all the terraced houses, there's 10 rows of terraces that I'm sort of like the end row of 10 rows of terraces. And the ones that have got bay windows, basically the bay windows, the brickwork doesn't go into the bricks in the wall. It doesn't line up to the wall. And you think, what the hell is going on? And the whole thing just falls apart. Like I say, it started with the star fort, and that just, the history that they were telling me there just fell apart. And then, yeah, then you tell somebody, and they go, "Well, you're mad, it's culverted. They're putting a drain outside, So okay, they put a drain outside. They've raised the road level 18 inches. They've had to raise the doorstep of every house on that road 18 inches. They've raised the floor in every house on that road 18 inches. Yeah, that's a good idea, wasn't it? Yeah. Why not just dig a hole to put the drain in?
Right. Yeah, fair point.
And that's sort of like where I started one. That's like chapter 3 in the book, I think, isn't it? The first one is first one is sort of like set the scene, talk about 2020 when we received our 2020 vision.
That was a great line, by the way, Larry. That's a great line.
Yeah. Well, I always remember. There was. Yeah. I think it was one of the comedians on TV, sort of like in 2019, going, "Can anybody tell me what's happening next year?" No, because I haven't got 2020 vision, and it just sort of like, so it stuck in my mind from that. But yeah, 2020 vision was given to us by the government, with all their propaganda.
So, are you quite relatively new to all this then? Was that when you started looking into history and?
No, it was 2 years after that.
Right.
It was 2022 that I started looking at stuff.
Wow.
And like I said, went off for a week up to Berwick-upon-Tweed, then came back, looked at the house, looked at the road, there's a railway bridge at the end of the road, the railway viaduct, and that's all wrong. So the history they're telling you, the whole road plans are wrong. Everything just falls apart. And then I started looking, I think more on my the YouTube channel, I looked into a lot of things like Roman numerals. You were talking Roman numerals last week, I think. And just, it's sort of like, I started looking around at things, look at the churches, and the stonework it's not right. It's not real stone. It's not quarried stone. It's actually geopolymer.
Oh.
They've actually poured these stones. They're sort of like almost concrete blocks, the stones in the church. And I was following, what's his name now? Paul Cook.
Oh, yeah.
And he was looking into, into the geopolymer stuff. And he goes off and looks at red sandstone and everything. And he even came to Runcorn and went up to the castle, which is just a folly on the hill. It's in the wrong location. Everything is wrong about the castle in Runcorn. Anyway, he basically said that the White Cliffs of Dover were brickwork. They were square blocks of chalk. And I thought, well, if that's a wall, if that is a built wall, you must have a plan. You don't just build a wall willy-nilly. You have a plan. You sort of like this. There must be a plan. So I put this out on my YouTube channel. It was like December 22. And I put it out there, and a guy came back to me and said, "Have you seen Behold Jerusalem? Graham K. Griffiths." And I went, "No." So he actually emailed me all the pictures out of it. And I just went, mine just went, and it's sort of everything just fit into place.
Here it is.
And that is your design. That is your plan.
So I've not read it yet. I only secured this copy about 2 weeks ago, but this is a book
brand
you're brand new. It's inscribed number 375 as well.
Yeah.
Which is lovely. And you're sort of building off this work and
absolutely.
What would you say? What do they say when you get a boob job?
Enhancing.
No, augmenting the work.
Augmenting. Okay, we can go with augmenting. Yeah. Yeah. Holly does those on. Where did you buy it from? The website now?
I think it was Etsy.
Etsy.
But when I bought this, it said there was only 2 copies left, so I don't know if she's got any more or not.
She's got a few more. They put a couple out at a time.
Right. Well, it looks fascinating. I'm going to dig into it when I finish my next book.
Fantastic. You will love it.
And this is sort of, I mean, I would say before we get too deep into landscape constellations, can we? Because we skipped over quite a few things there.
Oh, yes.
You mentioned Roman numerals. What's your problem with Roman numerals? Sorry.
Well, it's the system. It's designed for people with 6 fingers on each hand.
Right. 1, 2.
The V is we say V is 5 because it's the shape that the hand makes when you get to 5. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's the V.
Right.
And 2 5s is 2 V's on top of each other, which becomes an X. Yeah.
Yeah. It's 10.
So it's 10 for you. But if you had 6 fingers on each hand, V would be 6.
Right.
X would be 12.
Okay, but I haven't got 6 fingers.
No, you haven't. No.
Oh.
But the problem I have with Roman numerals is that when they count up, we count up in tens. So we're shown that they count up in tens. When they count down in 12s.
Oh, really? I wasn't aware of this.
Yeah. So the semi, which is half, which is you basically it's your little finger, it forms an S. So that's half. So that's what half is in Roman numerals. It's a lowercase s.
Right.
And then that splits into 6, which is uncias or ounces. And that's a dot. So you go, oh, I've only got 5 dots. So unless I'm going 5, 6, which I suppose I could be. But then, how'd you get to, you can't get to 11 because I've only got 6. You can. Anyway, the whole thing was that I was told that Romans actually worked in base 12.
Right.
Basically, all the armies were in multiples of 12. This way, you could divide them easier. You could divide them into half, into thirds, into quarters. Everything splits down a lot easier in 12s.
It's more harmonic, yeah.
So I'm thinking, why do they count down in 12s but up in 10s? And they don't. It's actually base 12, and it works just as well as because you. So basically, yeah, like your 50 is L is 50. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, I think
so. That would obviously be. It wouldn't be.
Doesn't go in 6.
This is where I'm going to fall over now.
Oh, it's all right. But there's lots. I've read loads of interesting. Well, I say loads. I've read some interesting books about the ancients working in base 12 and base 60. Is it Babylonians, ancient Britons, all different types of researchers looking at different
base
things.
60 is your mathematical base for when you're doing calculations for the constellations and the stars.
Oh, right, yeah. So 360 degrees in a circle. You've got your 12 months in the year, your seasons, everything's divisible by 6 or 3, particularly.
Or
6,
12.
3, 9. Yeah. It's more harmonic, yeah.
And base 60 is then easily usable by anybody who works in base 12 or base 10, decimal, like we do. So if you've got 10 fingers, you can work in base 60. And if you've got 12 fingers, you can work in base 60 as well.
Right.
It's the common multiple
Got you.
of the decimal system and the duodecimal system, the base 10 and the base 12. So your common multiple is base 60. And I can't remember that.
I mean, you wouldn't necessarily have to have 6 fingers. You could use your 5 fingers and a fist, or 5 fingers and something else, presumably. It's just a cultural.
Yeah. But it was just my in my head. I was basically just trying to reason out why they were counting down in 12s but up in 10s, and why they weren't counting up and why we couldn't count up in 12s. And if you had, like I say, if you had 6 fingers, which there are people that do have 6 fingers, 6 toes,
right? Yeah,
on each,
enough,
the end of each limb, and they're not that technically, I suppose, uncommon.
Cool. Yeah.
You might think they are.
I think it's something that I need to look more into. Why? This Roman thing of counting down in 12s. I was completely unaware of that.
Yeah. Well, I was told that as a child, and so it always stuck in my head. Everything was sort of like stuck in my head. And even when we move on, the stuff that we'll talk about later was from my childhood, my own childhood. And I remember, but we'll cover that in a bit. Yeah. What was my next chapter?
Oh, what did we skip over? Star Forts?
Well, that's the thing. You start off at Berwick upon Tweed, is it?
Yep.
And the Star Fort, and you saw something there, didn't you? That.
So basically the Star Fort was wrong. They were telling me that the windows at the back of the bastions, because the bastions are these sort of like triangular bits sticking out, jutting out of the wall, and at the back it ends up being a pentagon. It's 5-sided, effectively, and at the back here you've got like what they say is a gun sticking out. So these are supposed to be impenetrable defences and then they put a gun at the back, firing out. And I'm thinking, well, the only thing you're going to hit, if you fire a gun out of the back window of there, the only thing you're going to hit is the other bastion that is, a couple of 100 yards away from you. So the whole thing just didn't sit right with me. And then I got up and I looked and I went and had a look at these bastions, and they're sluices. The window that they're pointing the gun out is actually a sluice. So I'm thinking, well, it's all to do with water. And there was a bit of a giveaway. One of the bastions is called Windmill Bastion. So it's a bit of a giveaway that they're actually pumping water on the bastion out. And then you've got this moat area, which is actually then a reservoir. And you've got visual aids for levels up the side of the walls and everything. It's just an amazing place. And I would highly recommend going. And if you want to look at the Star Fort in the UK, Berwick-upon-Tweed, fantastic. But you've got to sort of understand what you're looking at, and it's not what they're telling you that you're looking at.
What's the sort of mainstream dating for that Star Fort?
So they say it's about 1750.
Right.
Between 1650 and 1750. And so this is great, yeah. 1650, 1750. And then I'm looking at it, and I keep looking at it, and I keep coming back to it. And I realised that the distance between the bastions is actually measured in meters. So the bastions on the north wall are 300 meters apart.
Wow.
And the bastions on the east wall are 250 meters apart. Exactly. It's spot on to the back of the sluice room to the next sluice room is 250 meters and 300 on the top wall. And it's like, hang on a minute. Well, when did we start using meters in the UK? And when did they actually start using meters? We're told it was like Napoleonic Wars, which is like, hang on, so that's 1850 now we're coming into. And it's just sort of the whole thing falls apart at every single step.
The timeline doesn't add up at all. You've got people using meters when, we're told in school that Napoleon invented the meter essentially. But
exactly.
Again, I think it's Civilization 1, that is it Chris Lomas book? I think he goes into prehistoric use of the meter in the UK. It's
the ziggurats in Samaria are also, they've been recognised as being measured out in meters.
Yeah.
It's like, hang on a minute.
It's a myth that wants to be dispelled, and you make it wonder. Well, is it French propaganda? Is it French imperial propaganda? We're going to invent this new system, and it's like
apparently they turned to nature for it though.
Sorry.
They took the measurements. They took the measurements for meters for the metric system from nature.
Right. Well, was it to do with the speed of light?
I'm not sure on that one, but possibly. Something's in there.
Yeah.
It will be what? There will be a...
Yeah, I can't remember exactly.
29 million. It's the latitude, isn't it, of the pyramids?
Oh.
Speed of light.
That's right.
Metric.
Yeah. There's
29 million meters per second or something stupid.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're querying the mainstream reason for building these forts, and you bring in the water conservation or usage of water as being the main purpose for these constructions. To what end? What are they doing or using the water for, do you think?
The water is very good at conducting electricity.
Yeah, right.
And power. And basically, I'm thinking the general consensus is that it's transportation of power or the water itself, but it's most likely power. I mean, when we get to the continent, I went and looked at Antwerp, and all around Antwerp, they're in rings, but each one of these little forts is on a little island that's connected by canals, but they're all exactly 2 kilometers apart.
Wow.
And you say, hang on a minute. Again, we're into kilometers. And it's when were they built? And how when are they started measuring in kilometers on these things? So everything comes back to there's something wrong with the information that we're being told.
Yeah.
Our education, basically.
Yeah. So you're hypothesizing that the water is used for conserving and distributing energy. Does that mean that the energy is being manifested within each star fort and then being transported around in a network, or?
Well, again, it's the moment. It's because people aren't accepting what we're saying is happening. You know, they're still accepting the lies that they're being told as children, that they've been brought up with, that the star forts were defensive. And
fortifications, right?
Don't tell me anything else. Anything else is wrong.
Yeah.
A bit like people in 2020. Anything else is wrong. If it's not they're fitting with their vision of the world, then it must be you're a conspiracy theorist. You know, you're wrong.
Yeah.
You're delusional. You're seeing things that aren't there. But so until we look at that more fully, I think Stephen J.D. Beatty, he does a lot of work on Scottish and Scotland. So the star forts in Scotland, yes, there are star forts in Scotland. Fort William's a nice one. There's 3 in Inverness, and there's about 4 or 5 surrounding Inverness as well. But anyway,
that's interesting, because Inverness is like at the top of Loch Ness, isn't it?
Yeah.
A large, like a massive body of water. So you wonder if that's why there's a high concentration.
At the other end of Loch Ness, you've got St Augustus. I think it's St Augustus, and there's a star fort there.
Right.
It looks like it's been, you're told it's a hotel, or it was a monastery, or a convent, but it's a star fort. You go and look at it. You can see the bastions. I flew my drone over it. We got a motorhome and we drove up there, and I did the NC 500 in the end. But I was going to go and have a look at it, but we ran out of gas. We woke up one morning, run out of gas. So there's no breakfast, there's no shower, there's no nothing in the motorhome. So we had to go and find gas, which was 30 miles away to the nearest petrol station that sold gas. And so I didn't get to go and look at that star fort, unfortunately. But yeah, they're all over the place.
It's
Stephen J.D. Beatty basically says that there are saltwater canals between them, and it's the salt water that is good transmitter of electricity. I think that's the right way around. Or is it the salt water that's good for magnetism? There's one that it's salt water and pure water and clean water. One's good at magnetism, passing magnetism through, and the other one's good for passing the electricity through. So technically, you could actually have a dynamo built of salt water and pure and clean water, rotating, circulating. So the water could actually be the generator for the power, as well as the wire to take the power down the line, as it were.
Right.
It's when you start looking at things like that, it's just like, hang on a minute. But yeah, I need somebody to talk to, and somebody that's got a bit more. I put this down because I had nobody to talk to. I had nobody that would listen to me. They're all going, "You're a nutter. Go away. Don't want to know."
Well, that's the thing. You have to get your ideas out, and you have to express them, and then that's how you refine them at the end of the day, isn't it? Especially with other people's kinds of thoughts around it and stuff. So yeah.
So hence the reason for putting everything in a book as well, because then I can send it to people and say, look, and there's an actual natural progression through the book as well, hopefully.
Yeah. Was there anything else you wanted to before we go on to zodiacs and whatnot?
I'm trying to remember the order. I should look at the book. Really.
I can give you the book if you want.
This is actually my copy of the book, Larry.
I don't know where mine is. I've read it, and I think it's in the house somewhere, and I've not brought it back in here yet. But I did read it.
I've got a few boxes down here.
Well, you tease a lot of things in this book, Larry, I feel. And you mentioned about, have we really sort of explored why you think the level of the floor has been raised then?
So the level of the floor being raised is your mudflood.
Right, okay.
Basically. Now, this was also one of my entry points into the whole conspiracy theory, world, Tartaria, blah, blah, blah. And whatever else they want to say. But yeah, so when you start looking at that, there seems to be an awful lot of soil deposited around the world. And I think on average, it's supposed to be about 22 foot of soil deposited worldwide. That's a lot of soil, a lot of detritus come, and you have to think of it not as a flood, but if you think of snow. So as snow falls, it it compacts and everything. But so if you think like volcanic ash falling and compacting, so we've got 22 foot of whatever this. I say volcanic ash or whatever, something similar to that. And I think there's good evidence to say that it probably was something like volcanic ash or something poisonous to the environment that's basically given us 22 foot of soil outside, which then on my house, you think, well, what was here? Why? I'm told that before this house was here, there was nothing here. It was just scrubland. And I'm going, no, it wasn't, because the bridge at the end of the road, the viaduct at the end of the road, is off centre. It's in alignment with the road. So there must have been something there. And the arch at the end of our road is actually off centre to all the other arches. They're all in sort of perpendicular to the railway line, except the arch at the end of our road is actually lines up with our road. So I'm thinking, well, there must have been water coming through there, so it's probably a canal in front of our house. So the road was actually a canal and not a road. But there's no sign of that, and there's no evidence of that. And you won't find any maps to say, to sort of agree with me on that.
I was just going to ask if you'd been trying to dig back through archives and try to find maps, from before your house was purportedly built,
Yeah, well, 2 doors down from me is the local historian. So he's quite a good source of information, except the information it gives me, I just look at it and go, well, that's a load of BS in it. And so I have to take everything that he gives me with a pinch of salt. Although then he gave me a guy's name as a Russian doctor, I forget who he is now, but he's basically saying, oh, well, there's been 4 civilizations before us, and they've come from another planet, they're 60 foot tall and things like this. So I'm thinking, well, actually, that was the best bit of information he gave me was that one. Wow. Pyramids in the Himalayas and all sorts like that. And I can go with that. And I need to go back and have a look at that. I thought about it earlier on today. That's one of the things I need to go back and look at for my second booking, which will have a red card on the front. This current book has the yellow card on the front, and the next one will be the second booking with the red card on the front.
Who's this Russian guy?
Hey?
Who's the Russian guy?
Oh, I'll have to look him up.
It's in the book, isn't it? Is it in the book?
I don't think I mentioned it.
It's not Fomenko, is it?
I can't remember. I would have to look that up.
Is it a Russian historian from like 200 years ago?
Oh, it's not from. No, it's this century or last century.
Right.
Yeah, it's recent. It's.
Is it not the guy? Is it the one where you reference about a mountain in Tibet being a pyramid?
Could be. I might have referenced him.
Ernst Rifkatovich Muldashev.
Muldashev.
That's what I said.
It could be, and to be happy, to be honest with you, I can't remember the name. I'm just trying to look him up.
Yeah, you just found him in the book. It's
page 104.
Yeah, Muldashev. I've never heard of that guy.
Ernst.
I'll have to grab a book now.
Muldashev. That Mount Kailash in Tibet is in fact another pyramid.
And it's how many? 3 times bigger than the Bosnian pyramid,
and 14 times bigger than the Great Pyramid.
Yeah, Great Pyramid's child's play.
Actually, I've got a previous. This is version 1. This is my draft copy, so the page numbers are different.
Oh no!
Well, not to worry. We got there. We got there in the end. It's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So.
Okay. So.
Yeah.
Mudflood.
Where were we?
Yeah. So we're talking about mudflood or mud snow. Maybe it would be better. Mud ash.
Yeah, yeah, that's the way I see it, and
Okay.
and I think further things that I've discovered since the book sort of kind of confirm it as well. Uh,
How do you mean?
so the
Teasing us again.
petrified bodies
Mm.
that I'm finding, very large petrified bodies. We'll leave it like that for the moment.
You keep finding large petrified bodies.
Yes,
Bless.
on Google Maps.
Not in your basement.
Not in your, not next to the coal chute. No, in the landscape. In the landscape. Yeah. Well,
okay.
Speaking of landscape, maybe we should move on to the zodiacs. Maybe we should talk a bit about these zodiacs that we've had Hugh Evans on the show last year,
Yes.
I think it was, and we didn't really talk about his Gwynedd zodiacs.
No, I went back and watched it yesterday, I think.
Right.
And then I've sort of shared it out on my socials as well.
Oh, cool.
So
But
you might get a few hits on that.
You mentioned, you somehow you fell across the work of Graham K. Griffiths and the Behold Jerusalem Zodiac. So maybe tell us a bit about that.
Well, we'll start with Hugh's work because I find it really interesting. So Hugh is basically just a quick recap for your listeners here. What was he? 317, episode 317. Hugh.
Right. So about a year ago.
So it's 12 months ago. So he was mapping out the constellations in southern Wales, in South Wales, and then realised that there was another constellation, another map going on in North Wales, which was actually more complete. So he found the stars there. Interestingly, he gave me a slightly different date than what he gave you. I think he gave you a magnetic resonance date for that he felt it was a few thousand years old. But he gave me a lot earlier date. He said to me about 24,000 years ago for the design, purely from the position of some of the stars within the position on the landscape, because this map covers did he say 1,000 acres?
Right.
1 million acres, he said. I had to make notes. So there's a 1 million acre site of all the hills and the standing stones and the churches. They all represent stars, points in the sky, and some of those into the southern hemisphere as well that aren't visible from Wales. So you've got the Argus Navis is in the landscape near Aberystwyth, I think.
Wow.
Just outside Aberystwyth. Yeah, it's like, oh, okay. So that, and so I was looking into that, and that was amazing. And I'd also just in the chapter prior to that, I think in the book, I covered the fact that religion is based upon the worship of the zodiac and the heavens above and the stars and the planets. It's not about the gods of the planets. Then you have the Son of God, which is that big red orange ball that we see every day, is the Son of God, the S-U-N as opposed to the S-O-N. And so all religion, every single religion, basically boils down to the movement of the sun. So every 21st of December, the sun dies and then is resurrected 3 days later. So we're celebrating Easter at the wrong time of year. We should be celebrating Easter at Christmas.
Got you.
But we always celebrate the birth of Tammuz and Christ and Osiris, and everyone was born on the 25th of December. All these religious, all 42 of them or more, there's 42 different sons of God, different religions. They all have a son of God who was crucified on the cross, resurrected 3 days after death, and all born on the 25th of December. So this is why I was looking at the zodiacs as well. So this is what interested me in the zodiacs. And Fuchs is the 13th symbol of the zodiac, and we'll come back to him as well. And then, because of Graham's work. Graham, the Behold Jerusalem, led me to the Glastonbury Zodiac. So I was looking at landscape zodiacs, of which there's about 90. Did I say in my book? I think I said there's somewhere like 90 landscape zodiacs within the UK, and they're about 12 miles wide. I'll list 39 of them in the book, which was a list I found somewhere else. But they're about 12 miles wide on average, but the Glastonbury one in particular is the one that Graham saw in the 90s when he was on a work trip, and that pinged a memory in his mind from his childhood days of looking in the atlas. I think it was his 11th birthday. He got a Reader's Digest atlas of the world, and so it says it in his book. It's in his opening chapter. Basically, he opens the book and goes, "Oh, look, there's a face there, and there's his face there, and there's another giant there." And so he spots these 4 giants, and then shuts the book. So, thank you very much to his parents, who's just given him the book for Christmas. Puts it on one side, and then plays with the football, which was his other passion. So basically, then that was like 1962, Christmas. And then in 1990, he happens to be in Glastonbury, goes into a bookshop and picks up the Catherine Maltwood's Zodiac, which she'd identified after reading an Arthurian manuscript that had been translated that was held by the Glastonbury Abbey. So it's sort of like over 400, 500 years old at that time, and they having it translated, and she was asked to do the pictures. She was an artist, and from that she was reading the Arthurian stories and recognized the landscape, and then started looking at the landscape, and then suddenly realized that she'd got this figure of somebody with an arm over the head, and then there was a lion. And then in a discussion she has with somebody else, they recognize them as Virgo and Leo. And yeah, so her work snowballs from that, from an Arthurian story. So King Arthur.
Arcturus.
Pardon?
Arcturus, King Arthur.
If you say so. I have not had a chance to really go and deep dive into that at all.
Yeah, well, people link him to the bear, the constellation of the bear, and Arcturus being a star in that, I think.
You see, I would say that there's 12 main, it's 12 to 14 main nights would actually be the Zodiac.
Yeah, right.
As like Jesus' 12 disciples become the Zodiac. So Peter is Pisces, that's for definite, and John is probably Aquarius. Those are the 2 I've got. I got those mixed up in the book. Page 90, there's an error. I put John the Baptist, and I have to go through and put St. Peter.
Right.
On them all.
Why do you say that Peter is Pisces and John
Peter is Pisces because it's the age of Jesus' age of Pisces. So St. Peter is the bishop's mitre, the Pope's hat is a fish head. It's all to do with fish. There are lots of connections in there, and I forget the name. There's a Sumerian god that dresses up as a fish as well. But it's all to do with Pisces. And you were talking about Pisces last week as well, weren't you, with the wells?
You look at the symbol, one of the ancient symbols for Christianity being the fish symbol, and fishers of men, and there's a lot of fish iconography in the Bible. And then the age of Pisces being roughly
is the Christian religion, and Jesus is in the era of Pisces. So if you go back 2,000 years, we started the era of Pisces, and the next era, which is coming soon, will be the era of Aquarius. It's the dawning of the age of Aquarius.
As the song goes.
Yes, it is, isn't it? Ryan Sevens just popped into the chat there. Dropped some truth bombs.
All right, so Ryan's saying John is Aquarius, Peter Pisces, Judas is Scorpio, and the twins are Gemini.
Hmm.
I mean, Judas as Scorpio kind of makes sense, sort of symbolically, doesn't it? With the old sting in the tail.
I think Graham links Scorpio with, is it Mordred in the Arthurian?
Oh, right, yeah, because like the poisoned blade. He defeats Arthur, doesn't he, with a poisoned blade?
Yeah. So it's, so that's Scorpio in the Zodiac. You see how they all interlink through the Zodiac. And again, this is all really, I've just barely touched the surface of it, and I still need to research and understand it better because there are still gaps in my knowledge.
It's a massive rabbit hole. It's a massive rabbit hole, the Zodiac and the symbology.
It is. It's been as big as the sky above.
Yeah, and it's been in the works for thousands and thousands of years, you know.
Yeah.
And you have this...
I thought it was interesting as well, when I went and had a look at Hugh Evans on your podcast. He was saying basically that to map the constellations as they are in North Wales and on the ground elsewhere, you'd have to have 100,000 years of observation, because basically you've got the 26,000-year cycle of the precession of the Zodiac.
Yeah.
So you've got to see it happen once, then you've got to watch it again to confirm it, and then so it's at least 50,000 years of writing it down. Now he said orally passing on and storing the information would be better than writing it down. In my head, that's not right. You've got to have it written records. And the problem is that the Romans came along and destroyed all written records of everything prior to them. And this is why we have no history prior to the Romans. And all our history is Roman history.
Right, yeah. The Romans came over and they took over they destroyed the Druids. Yeah, where you're talking about, Anglesey was like, well, legend has it, so the history books say, you know, Anglesey was the last holdout of the Druids. It's where, I mean, Caesar even mentions when he's talking to the French, I'd say the French, they weren't French at the time.
The Gauls.
The Gauls, the Druids. He has a tete-a-tete with the Gaulish Druids, and they talk about sending the sort of apprentices across the channel to go and be trained in Anglesey and then come back, you know, several years later, whatever. Like Anglesey was the hotbed of Jewish. I don't know what to say, like academy, like an academy, if you like.
So Anglesey is just above Hugh Evans' star map as well. Yeah. So it's ideal place. So they've got all the star maps there and everything else.
And it's an interesting place called Holyhead at the tip of Anglesey.
Holyhead, yeah. Holyhead, as we pronounce it.
Yeah, locally. But it's spelt with one L, I think. It's spelt
Holyhead, and it's on Holy Island.
Yeah.
And if you pull up a picture of Anglesey, you will see that it's actually Queen Isis.
Well, we might just be able to do that.
Why don't we do that? Why don't we pull up
the Holy Head is the holy crown for all deities of Egypt and Samaria were given the snake crown, which is Holy Head. And it's the biggest copper mine in Europe for many thousands of years was on Anglesey.
Right.
So if I just...
It's that, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll just pull this up here. I mean, here's a...
That's it. Yeah.
Here's like your standard map. And, you know, you've got this little... I'll just zoom in here. There we go. That's a bit bigger, isn't it? So, I mean, that looks... You see where my cursor is? That looks like a mouth there. And you've got nose here. And then you've got the...
She's got a wart on the end of the nose.
Aberfoire. And then you've got this like... I mean, from Egypt, you call that, I think, the urea. They're like the serpent that comes out and protrudes.
Yeah, the head.
Yeah.
It was given to Queen Isis, allegedly.
It's your old serpent knowledge. Brotherhood of the...
me drawing it on there, yeah.
Yeah, so you've superimposed the urea over there just to highlight it. Yeah, it's like I never looked
Go
at.
to the next one. That's it. Yeah, the next one.
Well,
To the left where you were. Yeah,
this
that's
one.
it.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right. Yeah. What's going on
So
here, Larry?
That's Wales, which is Leo and Virgo.
Wow. So the Leo is in red, outlined in red here.
Yeah. And Virgo's resting her clogged foot on his back. Oh, hang on a minute. That's the same as that, which is what, 5,000 years old? 2,000?
Oh, the picture on the right.
4,500?
We've got an Akkadian depiction of Inanna as the Queen of Heaven and Earth.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's Wales.
That's so that picture's from 2,300-ish BC.
Yeah.
Right at the start of like written history.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Well, allegedly, you know, you got to. I get tired of qualifying all my statements because I've come to realize after 300 and some episodes of this that I know nothing, and I shouldn't be so forthright in my opinions because that's all they are at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
It's opinions, and you know, most of the stuff that we think we know, Larry, is just received wisdom. It's someone else has told you. Someone else has written something, and you just take it on board and treat it as gospel, pun intended.
It's your education. Yeah. The education is set out by the government. Those lovely people that we all trust, 100%. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Dripping with sarcasm.
It's been going on for millennia. They've been teaching us things. Basically, education is to dumb you down. Because if you're too clever, if you think critically, you're a bad news because you won't do what they want you to do and you won't work for them, you won't pay the taxes. Yeah? You use their money, which is a token of enslavement. Cash is a token of your enslavement to the system of taxes.
Yeah.
It's nothing else. We shouldn't have money. We shouldn't be buying things. We shouldn't need to buy things. And you know, we should have exchange. You know, you exchange an egg for a loaf of bread. You know, it's that kind of thing.
Good deal, that. Would be good deal. I'll change it out.
Basically, you've got to bring yourself out of the system, and that's what I think a lot of us are trying to do, is actually bring yourself out of the system. But to actually get into that whole mindset that money is worthless, it's a very difficult thing to do. But anyway, we're digressing now.
I was going to say, Larry. Sorry to interrupt. One of the things, one of the most images that struck me from your book and from Griffith's book, because I mentioned before we're in Preston, and if you live and grow up in Preston, a certain symbol is ingrained in your psyche from the moment you can see, and it's this symbol here of the Lamb of Peace. I'll just blow it up a bit, and it's like a lamb with a crucifix. He's got a halo.
Yeah,
and
it's Aries,
the ram.
It's Aries the ram. Yeah. If you actually look up Aries the ram and look up the old pictures of it, the constellations, you can find some nice drawings online and stuff. They actually show you it's got a bee or something above his back, which forms the cross that you're looking at there.
Right.
But he's in the landscape.
Wow. So
that's also Middle Temple, London. They've got that lamb all over it, and in churches all over the country.
Middle Temple.
Middle Temple, as in the Templars.
Yeah, and lamb's wool, lamb's skin.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some symbology going on there.
Yeah, and it's all facing that way. That you're looking at it now on the screen.
Right.
If you actually then go to that's it. Yeah, go there. He's actually facing the other way. He's got his head turned back on himself.
So this is the Lamb of Aries incorporated into the zodiacal landscape, because we've got Virgo here. This is Wales again. We're Leo. Yeah. Who's this chap here?
That's Gemini.
So
that's Liverpool. His eyes are at C4 in Liverpool. His mouth is at Speke Airport. Liverpool Airport is where his mouth is.
No way.
Yeah, absolutely. These are the confirmations that you get when you start looking at stuff.
Where's his twin?
He doesn't have a twin. He doesn't have a twin in Glastonbury either.
Well, that's odd. I wonder why that would be.
It's just a baby. But there's only one fish as well. There's only one Pisces. Now, you'll notice that they're actually all inside a boat. These are all the land animals, and they're inside the Ark of Cancer. And if you go to the left of that picture there, that one, these are all the sea creatures. Then you've got Pisces, and you is the fish there.
There's your fish like
Land's
Cornwall and Dorset area here. You've got your Pisces.
The eye
fish.
of Pisces is actually formed by the Glastonbury Zodiac.
Whoa!
So the Zodiac is reflecting in the eye of Pisces. That's amazing, yeah. And then so that's just below Western Supermare. So you're at the west of the Supermare, which is Capricorn, which is the goat unicorn fish. He's got a fish's tail at Canterbury. Canter for the horse. Canterbury is his tail end. But he's sort of like forming the white foam of the boat, the wake of the boat of the Ark.
Yeah.
And the Ark is the only thing that doesn't actually appear in the landscape, but it's there by it's implied it's there. So everything fits. So all the land animals fit inside the boat, and all the sea ones. And you've got then Sagittarius is basically is like the giant Bran. The Welsh giant who led his ships over to Ireland. He's also like Gulliver in Gulliver's Travels. He steals the ships in neck deep in water. It's all the same symbology. But yeah, this is Sagittarius, and his eye is at a place called Eye.
Is that this here I'm pointing at?
That's his eye. Yeah. Just there there's a town called Eye in Suffolk, and his mouth is at Clacton. So you hear his tongue clacking at Clacton, and his hand is at Dover. His little finger's Dover, isn't it? Which is where the dove comes to rest. Where if he's pretending to be Noah. Now the dove isn't on that picture. He's on the picture of the birds, which is to the right of you. That one. That's it. Yeah. So here you've got the dove, which is the Isle of Wight at the bottom. He's skimming the waves, coming back to the Ark.
Wow.
That's Libra. Libra isn't a set of scales. Libra is a dove in the Glastonbury Zodiac.
Right.
And so he's skimming the waves, coming back to the Ark. And then you've got the Griffin at the top, which is the head is at Blackpool.
Yep, here.
And his sort of wing to the below him is resting on Gemini's head. And his wing above is sort of your way in Preston, isn't it? North Preston. And then there you've got the Lake District. Now the Lake District is actually an inverted phoenix in a pyre.
Right, so this is the head here pointing down, and the
it's
wings. It's like doing a dive bomb.
Yeah, isn't it?
The lakes form the flames of the pyre.
Obviously.
Wow.
And then if you go to the next picture, you actually see that now the other way up. That's the one. So that's Barrow in Furnace is the head of the phoenix. And then
in furnace, on fire. In furnace? A furnace?
The lakes are the flames.
Yeah.
But on that picture is removed some of the lakes. This is another picture from Graham. And all the lakes actually form this pointy thing. Oh, it's a pyramid.
Yeah.
And the apex is at Hawk's Head, which is Horus.
Right, so Horus, the Egyptian deity, known for having the head of a hawk.
Yeah, but he's on the top of the pyramid.
And you've got a couple of places here highlighted there. Temple, is that Stonerby?
It's
Somerby? Sowerby.
Temple Sowerby. Temple Sowerby, that's the one.
Sowerby, isn't it? Yeah.
There's a nice campsite up there. I stay there quite a bit because I went up there and drove all over the face of Jesus, who was on the cross. And there's knock just to the side there of Temple Sowerby. So you knock before you enter the pyramid.
Wow.
These is Graham's suggestions on the names and things.
Right. Yeah.
I believe the council offices in Barrow in Furnace are also called Phoenix House.
Wow. If only Phoenix Nights was filmed in Hawkshead.
Wow. So close.
So close. Not far off.
Yeah.
Yeah, this place name thing, I love it. Absolutely love it. There's a great book on Arthurian legend called The Keys to Avalon by Blake and Lloyd. If you just look up Blake and Lloyd, Keys to Avalon, and they go through the Arthurian legend, all based in Wales, and they also rewrite the Saxon invasion, I think, as well. But I love this place name stuff. It's fascinating. Let's move on. Sorry, go on.
That's all right. Yeah, no, go to the next picture. That's fine. Yeah. So now you've got Ireland with his Tam O'Shanter. And if you go to the next picture, it looks a bit, you can see it better on that one. This is Ireland, which is actually Cetus. The main part of Ireland is Cetus the Kraken, which in Nordic translates as crooked hand. And the Croken cliffs are in County Mayo, which is on the crooked hand, which is the hand to the left of that image, as it were, the front hand, where he's got a crooked hand. Yeah. There's the Croken cliffs. They are the tallest sea cliffs, or the second tallest sea cliffs in Europe. And I think the first tallest, the highest ones are actually in the Faroe Islands, which we might touch on. We might not have time. No. But anyway, and then the red bit on the top of Cetus's head is Scorpio. And I think it just looks like a bit like a Tam O'Shanter in this image.
What's a Tam O'Shanter?
The Scottish tartan hat.
Oh, right.
Like a flat cap.
Yeah.
But it's with a bobble on the top. Tam O'Shanter.
Right, I've never heard that word before. I'm getting never-ending story vibes from this creature.
I can't unsee the terrier. I think you said it looks like a terrier.
Highland Terrier?
In the book.
Yeah. And so that's how he fits in with the rest. So we've got the three sea creatures down the bottom. We've got the land animals in the middle, and then we've got the air. Again, this goes back to like astrotheology, tarot and earth, fire, the elements, earth, fire, water, wind. You know, you've got the air signs at the top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you got the Isle of Man pictures? As that's right in the middle of all that now.
Isle of Man. We haven't done we haven't done this one yet.
This is Christ on the cross. Yeah. So this is up near Temple Sowerby. You've actually got Christ on the cross being held up by Ares, the ram, and he's got an adze in his loincloth, which Graham goes into on that one. Basically saying that the adze is used with the Egyptian. It was the reawakening or the revival of the pharaoh in the pyramids, and it's actually in the shape of Ursula Major.
Right.
And basically they would wrench open the pharaoh's mouth after death and pour semen in, whether that was real semen or
wow.
Is there any other kind?
Well,
it's reminiscent of.
There's the semen of the gods.
Okay.
Which is basically meteor iron. Is, and that's supposed to be on the top of all the needles. You know, like Cleopatra's needles.
Right.
That they've got the they've got the iron cap on the top of them, which is made from meteor iron.
Meteorite. Or it could be linked to manna and therefore monatomic gold that they poured in. But I like this. So, like, the Egyptian guys are often portrayed with a crook and a flail, but this is the crook, and then that's sort of syncretized into the popes and the bishops with their crooks and their fish hats and whatnot. Yeah, it's very interesting. You mentioned did you mention Isle of Man?
I did. There he is at the end, just past the faces. That's the Isle of Man. Click on that. Yep. There you go. That's
the Sistine Chapel, isn't it?
No, that's the Isle of Man.
Explain, Larry.
So where the scarf is coming out the bottom is Douglas. But it's also that's a representation of a brain. So all the angels form the nodules of the brain. The red cloak forms the inside of the skull, as if it's being chopped in half. And then, so God lives inside our brain, inside the pineal gland, and it's extending his power, his Arwen is projected through the front through the third eye, through the front of the frontal lobe, and out. And actually, if that will lie, basically, you can lie that over the map of the Isle of Man, and it fits perfectly. And where Adam's hand is an island called the Calf of Man, and calf is another name for obviously a baby cow, but it's also the name of a pregnant cow is said to be in calf, and when they are giving birth, they are calving. So the Calf of Man is actually the birth of man, you could say. So, and what do we call that in Sistine Chapel? It's the birth of David, isn't it? It's the birth of Adam.
Yeah. We're looking at the coracle from the ceiling of the Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel, where it's God and he's like floating down to do that famous fingertip.
Is the Welsh name for a boat, for a fishing boat, but it can mean the Cora bit can mean choir. So a group of angels is called a choir.
Right.
So that, and the oracle part of coracle can mean cover or cloak. So a cloaked choir of angels is a coracle. So God is now sat in a coracle in the middle of the Irish Sea. But it's also, I think this also then can relate to Taliesin or Merlin,
right,
and in your Welsh mythology, Celtic mythology as well.
It's fascinating. We've got I've just looked. We've gone over an hour already, and look, we've got all these images, man. We're gonna
have to do part 2.
Definitely.
Just click on that map just below now.
The map.
Just click on that first map. Yes. Click through the map. That's
this map from Google Earth. Yeah.
Right. Now click the next map.
So this is a map like a satellite view of the British Isles and
Google Earth
Atlantic.
Image, overlaid with my Zodiac. Also, it has Orion is Galloway or Galway. Galloway. Into opposite there. You can just about see him at the edge of the flag. So above Northern Ireland now, you'll see Orion is on there.
Oh, there he is down there. He is down there.
Yeah, that's Orion.
Or Osiris.
And then the flag is from somebody that did a thing. It's called the Pie Grid, and they're convinced that the Union flag is in the landscape of Scotland. And Hugh Evans also says that the Union flag is actually the flag of the heavens.
Oh, well, we've talked about this with Ryan 7, haven't we? About the crosses and how they relate
crosses
to...
is the rising of the setting of the sun, and the white bit is the 5 degrees of the moon.
Yeah, the Union Jack essentially represents celestial mechanics on a grand scale. I'll tell you what, that flag seems to line up. It almost lines up with Hadrian's Wall.
Yes. Which Hadrian's Wall? The one that marked on the map is wrong, you know.
Why? What do you mean?
Well, Hadrian's Wall is 74 miles long.
Yeah.
And now, if you go and measure the Hadrian's Wall on the map, it's only 68.
Okay.
So there's a bit of wall missing in the sea, or you're measuring the wrong wall. If you measure the border that is now between England and Scotland, that is the line of Hadrian's Wall, because that's actually then 74 or 78, I think it is, miles long.
Right.
Which is the actual Hadrian's Wall. So we're actually being told lies.
Yeah. And
either they've got the wrong size or the wrong wall. And then we have Scotland.
Yeah, we need to. We've got a series, I think, of images.
And then the next
Scotland.
one, just quickly up to the next one.
This one?
Yeah.
Oh.
You've got a pharaoh in the sea. Off the Faroe Islands.
So maybe if we
click
flick
back, that's him. Yeah,
so
keep doing that, you'll see him. Yeah. If you click backwards and forwards through the maps. Yeah.
Right, so he's got his arm. That's Iceland, I guess, there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it Iceland or Greenland? Iceland.
It's that arm's Iceland.
So he's got
but
his
there's
arm.
probably a was scepter, which is the scepter of power.
There's his fish head there at the top, and there's some land there. Do you know what that island?
That's the Faroe Islands. They're called the Faroe Islands.
Oh.
Where the pharaoh's hat is.
Yes.
Wow. Interesting.
Didn't realize Iceland was so big.
Yeah.
It was tiny.
Yeah.
Now,
Trump's
a lot
going
of
after
these,
it. So.
These big items here now. That one was Sally Jane Delaney. She's Biogeology Channel. She goes around and scours around the planet for things like this. She was one that pointed me at the skulls as well, the giant skulls.
Yes, we'll save that for next time, Larry. The giants.
Petrified giants.
Let's go into Scotland because we haven't really talked about Scotland with a series of images here.
So this is an image of Scotland. This is what I used to look at as a kid, and I could see a face.
Yes, I can see the face.
Help me! I
slide,
can't see it.
It's like that's its head
Next slide.
At the top.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. There's his eye and his mouth.
Right.
Yeah?
So I've got an eye at what's that? Ullapool.
Ullapool. I can't remember what it means now. I think it's Ulla's homeland. So now I've drawn the beard on. There's a beard coming off the bottom of his chin.
Chinny beard.
Yeah.
Yep. Got it. Going to the
some bits of it missing. And then he's got the Egyptian hats, the crowns.
Obviously.
Wick first, so right.
So that goes from John O'Groats is right at the point of the hat.
Right.
And then he has the Was scepter, which is the scepter of power, which puts the power is actually at the base of the scepter, which is the Isle of Arran, which is a very interesting island for those that are in the into conspiracies.
Yeah, that's why I went on holiday this year. Well, I wasn't on the Isle of Arran, but I was looking at it.
Yes, I drove up there, went to stopped at Ayr.
Yeah, that's where I stopped.
Yeah, there's a star fort there. Did you see the
man,
star fort?
I could have seen it.
Yeah, that's an interesting. That's 75 meters between the
between the what do you call them?
Between the bastions.
Bastions. Yeah. So Aaron, I just always think of Old Testament when I hear Aaron and the power of the priesthood.
But it's amazing. Didn't Elvis land at just near Ayr, in sight of Aaron? Isn't that his middle name as well?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
interesting.
And isn't he the face of the original face of the Statue of Liberty? Looks very much like Elvis Presley, apparently.
I mean, anyway, you can't. I mean, that's part 3, isn't it? Elvis was the Statue of Liberty.
Right. So
that's a pretty wonky looking pharaoh. That's his hand.
That's his hand. Yeah, which is the Isle of Skye.
Right.
Is his hand that's holding the Was scepter, and he's got bird-like feet. He's got bird feet. Yeah, crow's feet.
Like yours, those Phil.
Crow's feet.
Yeah.
Very good.
And then he has a pair of wings and a tail.
Wow.
And that is actually, that god is on the walls of the pyramids in Gaza. Not Gaza, in
Giza.
You know what I mean.
Giza.
Giza, that's the one.
Yeah.
Of course, with the British Isles being a zodiac, and talking of Gaza, and all zodiacs, worship of the zodiac is what religion is. And so we have to then say that if the British Isles are a zodiac, then surely we live on the holiest land.
Hence the title, Behold Jerusalem.
Well, no.
Oh.
That's surprising, that one. That isn't where he got that from. He was thinking more the hymn, Jerusalem.
Right.
Yeah.
God.
But I then, when I get to the end of my book, I say how apt his name was, actually. Yeah. You know, I do it all the time. I name something or I say something, and it turns out that what I've said instinctively is very appropriate. for what I'm talking about. And I just thought, yeah, his name is so appropriate, because I didn't like it at first. Behold Jerusalem. I thought, oh, it's all too religion-y, you know, and it's going to put people off. And it possibly did put people off buying it. I know he struggled. I mean, because that book's 20 years old. Yeah, 20 years old.
Wow.
2003, 2004 is when the Behold Jerusalem was published.
I can't wait.
You've got a pristine copy.
Yeah, I can't wait to dive into it. And I've not really done any research into these landscape zodiacs, and I'm going to try and get Kate Preston on.
Yes, she does the La Mancha one.
Well, I mean, that's just so relevant.
And she's from Preston as well, so there you go.
Well,
you can talk football.
Yeah, and I mean, she talks about we're right in Taurus here, and my nearest main road is Black Bull Lane, and my nearest pub is the Black Bull Pub, and there's all sorts of torrid iconography around here, you know.
Are there 8 bull pubs in Black there? No, they're in Preston.
I won't know.
But how many bull pubs?
8.
I don't know. There's loads, isn't there?
They're everywhere. Look at Longridge. Yeah. There's like 2 Black Bulls in Longridge.
Yeah,
there's an old Black Bull in Longridge. It's everywhere.
Well, there's the Black Bull near here. There's a Black Bull in town, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's lots of bulls. There's the old bull as well in town, isn't there?
Yeah.
Quite a lot of pubs do relate to what's going on around you.
And you imagine they're like ancient places. Like, you know, we've always had
the old
social
bull.
Drinking, haven't we?
Yeah.
Just to get away from the drudgery of tilling the land. And
yeah, I suppose, yeah.
But when you start going into the town names and as well, and their association, you suddenly think, hang on, it all gets a lot deeper.
Well, ours is Priest Town, because Preston is a Jesuit stronghold historically.
Yeah.
There's a place round the corner from us called Grey Friars, Franciscan Friars. It's named after.
Yeah. But see, why have you got Temple Sowerby in the middle of Cumbria? Why have you got the Templars there if they didn't know that they were right next door to? They're on the shoulder of Jesus on the cross.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
In the Zodiac.
I'm sure the Templars were everywhere in the UK, in Britain.
Yeah, they're just very aptly placed anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, Larry, I think we should wrap this up. Unless there's something particularly burning you want to get off your chest before we,
No, if people want to find me, I'm on YouTube. I'm on YouTube is our -story 7721. I'm usually in the chat. Not tonight. Not yet.
Can't do 2 things at once.
Also, I'm on Facebook under Albion Zodiac. If you just Google Albion Zodiac, you will find my videos on YouTube anyway. And if you want to buy a book, I do sell them. They're on eBay. It covers my costs. It's £10, which is includes the postage.
Yeah.
It might come down. It might stay there. I don't know yet. We'll see how we go. I'm going to be at the Weekend Truth Festival. I've been booked for August bank holiday weekend. So there's the likes of Richard Vobes is going to be there. Dolores Carhill is going to be there again. I met her last year there. Callie Spell will be there, amongst others. I think Kate. What's her name? Katie Hopkins came last year as well, and Mark Steele.
Jury's out on Hopkins for me.
Yeah. Well, yes. Yeah. Oh, go Trump. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, no, you've got this. Yeah. Anyway, yes, we have done.
That'll be exciting. Well. That'll be exciting. So, are you doing a presentation there or something?
I will be doing whatever I'm doing at the time. I think I will be covering bits of this that I've covered today, and whatever I discover in the next 6 months, because I've already got a path that's opening out in front of me, it's going totally different places.
Is that up at Whitehaven?
It is, yes.
Up
yes,
in the
I believe
Lake
so,
District.
at Whitehaven.
Absolutely love it.
Aquarius.
I love the North Lakes. It's so peaceful and desolate, and I don't know. There's something about the place that I have some sort of soul connection with. I think it's where I'm meant to be.
Yeah, but it's the base of the pyramid.
Yeah. Oh well, there you are.
In Aquarius, dawning of the age of Aquarius and all that as well.
Yeah. Cool. Well, this has been fab, Larry. It's been really interesting, good fun, and yeah, check out the links in the show notes, everyone. It's there. You can just click straight onto Larry's channel, or continue this journey with him.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for coming, and you'll have to come back, and we can talk about different things.
It's been 6 months, hasn't it? I mean, we've been trying to do this for 6 months, but I was in hospital.
Well, we didn't even get into that.
Oh, no.
Part 4.
Yeah, that'll be part 4. Yeah. Like Larry's health issues.
Yes. Yeah.
But you're all healed now.
Yes. I had life-saving surgery overnight on the last day of September into the first day of October. And I had an internal bleed that was just bleeding out uncontrollably in a pancreatic pseudocyst.
Gosh.
Oh.
It didn't help that they were giving me blood thinners at the time. So.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
But
we'll save that till
touch
next
wood.
time.
Everything's good now.
Good. Glad to hear it. Glad you're back fighting fit, and very good. Continued health, well-being, and success in your future endeavours.
Thank
Larry.
you. Thank you.
Yeah. Right. We're going to sign off for this part, and we're going to come back in 10 minutes and do some headlines.
We're actually going to do it in 10 minutes.
Yeah, in 10 minutes. Yeah, I got some absolute belters this week.
Okay.
Great headlines.
Right.
Thanks, Larry.
Yes.
Been a pleasure.
Bye-bye.
See you soon.
Bye.
Ta-ra. And we'll see you lot in 10 minutes.
Bye.